But the best thing that happened at Penn State in career-wise is the summer before my senior year, I got an internship at KDKA TV in Pittsburgh, KDKA TV and radio. And it was a great internship where every week I was in a different department. And I got to learn how a station runs, a little bit about television news, a little bit about the promotion department, the advertising department, the sales department, and it was really valuable. Now that was and is a big time local station, fully unionized, but they were flexible enough that I could occasionally raise my hand and say, "Hey, could I try that?" or could I write something? And they often said, "Yeah, sure." In fact, one Saturday I was in television news, and they ran out of reporters, and they got a call that there had been a robbery on the north side, and they looked around and they had no reporters left. They'd all sent them all out to cover other stories, and they said, "Hey, intern, come here, take this camera crew and go over to that robbery and get whatever you can, interview people, find out the story, and bring it back." Well, it turned out to be a great story. There was a little twist to it at the end. And I was an intern who actually covered a story for KDKA News. And it was thrilling, great experience, and great opportunity. And the following week, I was in radio, and they were writing promos. I was in radio promotion. They were writing promotional announcements for the disc jockeys. And I said, "Could I write a couple?" And they said, "Oh, give it a shot." Well, I wrote 4 or 5 that they accepted. And there I was sitting with these disc jockeys that I'd listened to growing up all my whole life, and I was giving them notes, and they were reading my copy, and I got to record my promos and hear them on the air of KDKA Radio. The only week that was less than demanding was a week I was in television promotion, and they were promoting the new fall season for CBS. And they had hired a jingle writer and some dancers and a choreographer, and they were going to do these little 1-minute songs about the new shows out in Pittsburgh landmarks. And the day before production started, we had a big meeting, and the production manager said, "Does anybody here drive a stick shift?" And I raised my hand. He said, "Oh, yeah, I can do that." He said, "Oh, good, because we rented a camper, and it's not an automatic. It's got standard transmission, and we have nobody here knows how to drive a stick shift." I said, "Oh, sure, I'll do that." So I spent that whole week driving this little camper around town, and I couldn't even go on set. I had to sit out in the parking lot to protect the camper, and every once in a while I'll take a case of Cokes into the dancers, but I didn't even get to watch the productions. So I at the end of that week, I thought, well, I kind of wasted my time there. I spent most of it sitting in a camper. But when the rest of the internship was so good, when it was over, I went up to the production manager. I said, "Give me some advice. I would love to work here someday in production. Tell me what you think I should do." He said, "Well, this is a pretty big station, so get a job in a smaller station somewhere. Take advantage of whatever they have. Learn to do as many different jobs as you can. And when you've got some experience on your belt, give me a call." And I got to do directing and camera work and learned a lot about production. So I gave this guy a call at KDKA. I said, "Hey, I did exactly what you told me to do. In fact, I did more. I got jobs at 2 different stations, and I'm ready to. Do you have anything there at KDKA where you could use a production person?" And he said, "Don King, I'll tell you the truth. I just can't place you." I said, "Well, I'm probably the only intern that ever covered a story. I went out with a camera crew and covered that robbery on the north side." He said, "I'm sorry. We get a lot of interns come through here, and I just can't remember it." I said, I wrote promos for KDKA Radio." He said, Don King, wait a minute." He said, are you the kid that drove the stick shift?" I said, yeah, I did that for you, for TV promotion. He said, "You were great at that." He said, "You know something? I tell you what, I do have a job for you. If you want to move back here and just work for the summer, you can be the producer of Pittsburgh Pirate baseball. We only cover 6 or 7 road trips a year, but we need somebody to go with the booth announcers and sit in there with the play-by-play guys, feed them commercials, tell them when they're back from commercial and stuff, and you can do that for the summer." Oh man, before I hung up, I was packed and ready to move back from San Jose to Pittsburgh. Wow. And that led to, they kept me on to do the same thing for Steeler football, for just preseason football. And then they hired me as a full-time director. and I became a producer. And I ended up directing news and directing a weekly magazine show. And I did telethons and documentaries. It was the 3 most important years of my career. And
Wow.
it led immediately to a job as a staff director in New York. And it was all because I could drive a stick shift.
Wow. That is, I mean, I'm one for details, and just kind of taking every opportunity, but that seems pretty wild that out of that whole course of action, he remembered the stick shift and